your forecast first. Sponsored by Matex Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
Good morning, everyone, and a happy Tuesday to you. So we're going to start off with a lot more of the clear skies and pretty much a repeat of yesterday's forecasts ahead this morning. Things are quiet or as comfortable as they're going to get here throughout the day. A lot of those lower 70s showing up farther to the east, some mid-70s as a matter of fact early this morning in Mattoon at 76, 74 in Bloomington, with a few upper 60s farther to the west in Jacksonville, Springfield, and in Taylorville. We're going to try to warm things up just slightly this morning, but then eventually we'll get those numbers back up into the 90s by the afternoon with even higher heat indices. We'll talk about how hot things will feel, and plus talk about the late week rain chances that we could have with Tropical Storm Laura coming up. WCI 3 News starts now.
You're watching your local news leader. This is The Morning Show on WCIA 3 News.
Students can be very creative in their gatherings.
And that's why Urbana's mayor issued an emergency order restricting gatherings ahead of the fall semester. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm McLeod Hageman.
And I'm Christy Batista. Thousands of U of I students have returned to Champaign-Urbana, and Mayor Diane Marlin says she's trying to prevent a spike in COVID-19 cases.
But she needs city council support to keep that ordinance in place. The council voted 6-1 to pass the emergency order regulating bars and restaurants. The new orders require people to remain seated at bars and restaurants, wear face coverings when not eating or drinking, and to maintain social distancing. It also orders bars to ban people younger than 21 after 9 every night. And some people spoke out during the meeting against limiting how many guests could attend those gatherings, while others argued for even stricter regulations. Mayor Marlin defended that order.
We tried to draw a line, we're kind of drawing a line between individual rights, between freedoms and flexibility, but also protecting the safety of the public.
And some council members asked about how the city plans to enforce rules on private property versus public property, and asked if it's up to the government to let the community decide to behave in their own homes as well. The city's legal team says a lot of those decisions came down to what public health and university officials felt would help the city the very most.
Taking a look at the latest coronavirus numbers, Champaign County set a new high for cases. There were 68 new cases as students returned to classes. The county's 7-day positivity rate has stayed at 0.3% for the 5th straight day. There are 1,600 new cases statewide. That brings the total near 222,000. 8 more people have died. Illinois has seen more than 7,800 COVID-19 related deaths.
A Millikan student is in isolation after testing positive for COVID-19. Officials at the university say they found out about the positive test over the weekend. They say the case is because of an off-campus work-related exposure. The student is isolating away from school. Well, a big part of the U of I's reopening plan involves saliva testing.
We have told you about that on the morning show, how students and staff have to have a negative test just to get into buildings. In fact, testing is such an essential part of the college experience that students say it's now just another task on their to-do list.
It's every 4 days, so twice a week. They're having us get the test and then show our phone to get into the buildings, and we have to have the building approved status.
The U of I is using a hybrid model for classes this fall.
Here we go into our Tuesday morning. It's starting off quiet again here across central Illinois. If you've had your window open throughout the overnight, though, it's been really tough to try to stay cool, I'm sure. If you've been using the AC, probably a better bet for you. And we are going to keep probably those ACs on more of a higher, really persistent rating for us as we go throughout the day, as we do have a lot more of the heat and humidity to come. Now, farther to the north, some showers and storms are moving through the extreme northeastern part of the state, getting closer to the Chicagoland area, and they're dealing with some rain up there, but this is going to miss us. We won't be at least getting in on that, but eventually we'll get some of the moisture from the tropics to start to work its way farther to the north, and this is what's left now of Marco, as it is now really completely dissipated, and it's just an area of low pressure spinning across the southern parts of Louisiana and heading into the southern coast of the Louisiana coastline there. But there is more moisture to come, and the main system we were really keep an eye out for. Farther south, closer to Cuba, that's Tropical Storm Laura that will be heading its way northward later on into the week. Temperatures right now for us in the upper 60s and lower 70s. It's still hot, it's still dry, but we still got that rain chance later into the week, too. We'll talk all about that here in a bit. Matt?
All right, thank you, Adam. Well, no one was hurt after a Champaign-Urbana MTD bus was hit by gunfire. It happened at East Columbia Avenue and North 5th Street in Champaign. Police say the bus was stopping to pick up a passenger when people in 2 cars in that area started shooting at each other. 6 people, including the driver, were on the bus. MTD officials say this is the first time an MTD bus has been hit by bullets. And we have a news follow-up story this morning. The city of Champaign is asking the community for help to curb gun violence.
Officials say shootings have killed 2 people and hurt 8 others in the past 2 weeks. It's also resulted in property damage to homes and cars, along with that MTD bus. Officials say many of these shootings are targeting specific people and are a result of ongoing feuds. They're now asking anyone with information to come forward and share what you know with police or someone else you trust.
We have new information about a 7-year-old boy who was hit by a car. A man has confessed to the hit and run. It happened Friday in Springfield, and police say 62-year-old Bernard Fokumdinga did not slow down for Jax Thornley when he was riding his bike. The boy was bleeding from his face, arms, and legs. Instead of stopping, Fokumdinga decided to drive away instead. He was arrested for leaving the scene of an accident.
Motorcyclists are asking other drivers to watch out for them. This comes after several deadly crashes this summer. 2 people on a motorcycle were killed in Decatur over the weekend. We told you about that on the morning show. Well, 2 others were killed in Christian and Effingham counties. Not every crash is the same, but bikers say there are some things you can watch out for while you're on the road.
One thing, too, is following too closely. Lots of times cars, I'll notice, it'll scare me. I'm looking in my rearview mirror, and there's somebody just right behind me. And the thing is, I can stop so much quicker than what they can.
Other things to consider are visibility and always keeping your headlights on. Investigators are trying to figure out the cause of a garage fire in Urbana.
They got the call at North Goodwin near West Eads. When they arrived, flames were shooting out of the building. Fire officials say there was major damage to the back of the garage and minor damage to a neighboring garage. Investigators are still working to learn how that fire was started.
A family in Central Illinois will lay a loved one to rest today. They are mourning the loss of 2 family members who died just days apart. Now, their neighbors are helping the family move forward. WCIA3's Gabrielle Cook explains.
The fire that took the life of Elena Jarnigan happened on Friday afternoon in Bethany. Jarnigan was in the preschool program at Okaw Valley Elementary School. At the time of her death, her family was already grieving the loss of another family member. Jarnigan's great uncle, Mike Castelli, died in a crash in Moultrie County on Wednesday. Pastor Rob Roy of First United Methodist Church says in times like these, the community comes together.
It's a very family-oriented community. We are very shocked by this, and we are praying for this family, and we're just want to let them know that they're loved.
People are donating clothes and money to the family, but Roy says this type of heartache also requires more than that. People need to lean on each other.
I'd say you're not alone, and that, you know, there are people here who are willing to help and want to help. We just need to know how we can best help you.
He also wants the family to know that there is hope after a tragedy.
Our faith gives us hope, and the church is not the building. The church is the people in which we gather together.
Mike Castelli's funeral will be in Levington today at McMillian and Young. The visitation will be from 5 until 7 tonight. Jarnigan's funeral is still being planned. Well, the IHSA takes another step towards a champion being crowned.
Coming up in sports, how postseason play will look this fall. We'll be right back.